Never has the difference between knowing how to win and wanting to know how to win been more exposed in a pressure situation than tonight. I cannot believe I'm saying this, but there actually was an entertainment factor in overlapping Friday night games, which, boy, is extraordinary. Now, the credit to Melbourne and, of course, especially to Port with the win, the send-off to Ken, to Bokey, to Rory Atkins, to a little bit of a lesser extent. No offense, Rawls, but compared to the other two, I think you know where you stand, great man. This is about the contenders this little bit because the gap between the two, what they did, more importantly, what they didn't do, a couple of them, is going to be the more poignant point of this video, right? Because both of them, there are going to be any doubt or I think any doubt towards the Suns right now is 100% justified. Like, you kicked 3 goals, I think, in that second half. The only composed forward you had in the last 12 minutes was Jai Farah, and that is no disrespect to him, by the way, but he can absolutely be a 4th or 5th piece in terms of a forward line that can fire on the spot. But if he is the go-to guy for composure, it's credit to him, and it is an insult from the other players, which is a big problem. And the linear equation for the Suns, because they kind of want to get to where the Pies are, not necessarily this year, but a team that has played in a few finals now. That's obviously what they want to get to, and it's not going to be a linear progression, but that game against the Bombers now is geez, you can't stuff it up from here, can you? Because this was a danger game for the Suns, and it was highly justified in the sense of, well, no one plays on emotion better than Port, but Port's 23 were not great. On paper, it wasn't their strongest side, but Butters came to the occasion. Rosie, Georgiades, these guys came to the table in a big way. Kane Farrell somehow went from, solid halfback flanker to permanently delisted to new national hero, I suppose, in the terms of the last 5 minutes of that final quarter, which was extraordinary. But the Suns just aren't ready yet for that contendership. Now, am I thrilled for them that it is highly likely that they are going to play finals? Absolutely, I am. Dimmer with this group is going to take them further than they have ever been before, and that is nothing if not a good thing. But this was the sporting equivalent of having your crush over, your parents aren't home, things are getting to a really nice place, and you just couldn't close the deal, right? Call it Daz in high school. I don't know why I had to self-burn there, but it's not even true. Anyway, that doesn't matter. Sure, call it me in high school. That's fine. You've probably thought it. Let's assume it's true. But I think the frustration in terms of watching this club, because those that are sort of pro-Gold Coast, I think, that are like, yep, seeing this group. Noah Anderson's a really difficult player to not enjoy. Touk Miller is one of my favorites. I'm a Ben King fan. I don't care that all he does is kick goals. It's kind of his job, right? I am a Sam Collins super fan. I like Damien Hardwick as a coach. There are a lot of moving pieces there that make Gold Coast a team that I definitely don't dislike. It's not love, but I don't dislike. But the letdown is still there, and it's a really good micro feeling to have with a big picture look, because if, and it is a big if, but if the linear progression continues, they beat the Bombers, probably, they play finals, I can almost say now they're not going to make a prelim. So I think that is a fait accompli. I just don't think they are. If they beat the Bombers, it's still unlikely they're going to make top 4, by the way. So, elimination final, they'll beat the Bombers. It'll probably be at home, but it's either going to be against, their final is probably going to be against one of Hawthorn, Brisbane, probably the loser, let's be honest, GWS, the Bulldogs, or Freo. I don't really know how many of those teams Gold Coast would start favourites against. I know they smacked Brisbane not that long ago, but it's a final. I think Brisbane's best is better than their best. Hawthorn rested blokes and nearly beat them in Darwin. Freo did beat them at home this year. Okay, the Bulldogs, I can hear that conversation for sure. And GWS just wiped the floor with them. So I think it's fair to say that the ceiling has well and truly been put in. Whether you're having that thought now or you've had it for a while, I just don't think there is an argument against it at this point. And then yes, the credit to Port Adelaide should absolutely be there and given. And fingers crossed, Josh Carr can have a really positive influence on this group moving forward. And then you look at the Pies, who, by the way, again, I can completely understand a lot of people that are going, Daz, they're still going to finish the year 2-5 in their last 7. No premier this century has won the flag having a 2-5 or worse record in their last 7. I went back and checked. Hasn't happened. So the likelihood of the Pies getting the job done from a historical statistical standpoint is going to be very low, but they're still going to be one of these sides that you don't want to count out. Now, the last 2 weeks, the positives and negatives are still there. Their defense is in shambles. I feel so bad for Jeremy Howe, but even fully fit, him being your most important defender is still not quite what you want. You know, you don't want a 35-year-old being the only informed defender that you can almost bank your life on, right? Yes, you go to the other end of the ground, but like Stephen May is still Melbourne's best defender. Their defense doesn't look great. Looks okay, but it doesn't look great, right? You look at the other end of the ground. Taylor Walker is not Adelaide's best tall forward for a reason. Yes, Jack Gunston's kicked 60 goals and he's been Hawthorn's best performing forward, but Hawthorn planned this year like they weren't going to play him. That forward line can still be potent without him. So the contendership for the Pies for me is like, probably not, but rather than when they were 10 points on top of the ladder, I was never one that went, the flag is kind of theirs, but I definitely was they're the best team in it. Someone's got to come and take this off them, and they've pretty much disintegrated before this point. The last fortnight has been encouraging. You can't argue with the form or anything like that. They're going to finish the year. I think they're pretty much locked into a top 4 off the top of my head. My other screen is completely flat and over there, but I think off the top of my head, the worst they can finish now is 5th, I think. I could be wrong about that. But it's almost a case of like, yeah, they've been there before. There's a trust there. And I think that's the important point. There is a trust there. The past, I think, is going to do as much lifting on you as possible. If you say to me, look, the Pies have been there in the past, they've had a win, they might have got the rust out, the week off's going to be good, you know, hopefully Bobby Hill can come back, DeGoey can have a little bit of extra rest and make sure he's 100% for finals. I'm optimistic about the Pies. I can't really argue with you. I think that is a fair point to make. I also think that is a very fair point to go, I've watched their forward line, I've watched their defense, and I have no faith in these groups going to a level that is going to outperform the last 7 weeks by like a factor of 10. That is also a fair point. So wherever you stand on the Collingwood spectrum is absolutely fine. But in this moment, as we sit here on a Friday night, what we saw from 2 teams that are contending for finals against 2 teams that had nothing to lose. Port with the send-off to Ken. But Port and Melbourne both don't have their first round pick. So deliberately losing the last game, pointless. Why would you try to give Essendon a better pick? Why would you try to give Gold Coast a better pick and help them land Yulin and Patterson, especially at the top of the first round? And when the going got tough in that last quarter, Pendlebury stepped up in a big way, and then a few of Gold Coast's boys didn't. Matt Rowell didn't have a kick in the last quarter. He had 6 handballs, so it's not that he wasn't touching the footy, but he didn't kick it. That's a problem. Anderson had 8 disposals, but eye test-wise, none of them felt like they led to much. And that was the problem. The ball movement, the sloppiness. I don't want to hear about a free kick count. I don't want to hear about a holding the ball decision discrepancy. You had opportunities. Your forward half fumbles, which I don't think is an official stat, were a bigger detractor against the result than the whistleblowers. And you played a side that had no purpose other than the emotional pull to win the game. This is on Gold Coast. There is no other excuse for this. No other. You can have reasons, but I'm not having excuses. And the concerns for Gold Coast moving forward are Mac Andrews' form is a big concern. Big concern. And now it's just mental between the ears. Collingwood tonight had that mental strength and made good decisions, and Gold Coast haven't learnt it yet. Now that's okay for Gold Coast, as long as their progression stays linear. Are they going to be finals 1 year, drop out the next? Is it going to be Freo circa 22, 3? Whenever it was, that comeback against the Bulldogs? Is it going to be like that, and then you're out for a year or two and then try to get your way back in? Or is it going to be like Bulldogs? I don't know why it's coming back to the Bulldogs here, but let's go with it. Bulldogs 2015. You got your way into the finals after some coaching turmoil, right? They lost to Adelaide in that elimination final. 2016, they go on to win the flag. But that's now the fork in the road for the Suns. They have no other option. It's put up or shut up, and they didn't put up tonight. The Pies did, and credit to them. So, how do you feel about the true winners? Well, not the true winners, the true contenders from tonight's game. Are you feeling any better about the Pies? Are your doubts about the Suns 100% justified in your opinion? Comment below, let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. A big Saturday and Sunday of footy to come, and you can check out all of the awesome footy content right here on Daz Talks Footy. Thank you for watching. Like the video if you liked the video. Subscribe to join the Daz Talks Footy family. I hope I can see you in the next video, guys. Have a good one. See you later. Thank you very much.